um, is whether or not they're going to be supportive. And some, like I say, some are better than others. The best support you can get is to fill out a job ticket and wait for, 24, 48, 72 hours to get a, you know, a language impaired text. And then when you answer the question, then you got to wait again,
Wow.
because there is a cross planet disconnect. I like the companies that are actually man a call center. Um,
So that's once you apply it. That's not the initial talking to the host. That's after you try to insert it, and then you have to wait.
well, like I say, it varies.
It
Some
varies.
are
Okay.
better than others.
Have you heard of
Uh,
HostGator?
yeah, oh no, absolutely. Um, it's always, I've been working in the WordPress space for 15 years, and I've seen hosts come and go, and also reputations come and go. Um, Sometimes, a company that's good uh, for some reason, is no longer good. They undergo an ownership change or some uh, policy changes or things like that. So when it comes to hosting, it's not a bad idea to kind of stay on top of it and kind of revet them from time to time. Um, but that would be a great way for you to check your hosting, because I mean they do have your DNS records there. Do you have the URL registered at HostGator?
Yes,
You do. Okay.
I think so. Yeah, they transferred my whole website. My company that used to host me, Solid Web Technology, was a great company for a long time, out of Seattle.
Uh-huh.
They decided to get out of the business, and so I had to transfer my whole website, which is intense. It's like because it was the old front page 98, and then the guy that used to originally build my site, which was not all that big, but I kept asking him. I give photo workshops and stuff, and I kept every week I say, hey, would you put another date up? Update my website and that page. And he was busy doing all these other sites. He finally said, hey, why don't you just buy we're on front page 98? You can do it yourself. So I did, and that created a monster. And I was adding pages and photos, and I've got photos from 70 trips around the world I've done. So I've got 70 portfolios on the website with lots of photos each page. Yeah, it's intense. I was a little nervous about transferring over, but they transferred over, and I've been updating it. But lately, it's not been updating so well as like it used to for whatever reason. So
Right,
uh,
right, right.
I think I need a guru. Yeah, because again, front page was so easy. It was a what you see is what
Well,
you get kind of thing.
we've we've definitely got some good people here that can help you with that. Hey, I want to officially welcome everybody to this month's WordPress Web Help Meetup group. We get together once a month, and well, we're available through the chat and what have you during the month. Maybe at some point in time we might consider meeting more often if the group supports that. I want to welcome Brendan. Good to see you, sir. You there? One thing that I like to see, and this is just my preference, is if you're here and you are able to unmask, show your face. We would love to see you. Um, Makes the whole thing. Hey, Lance. There's Lance. And usually wait a few minutes. Hello, Virginia. Alejandro, good to see you, sir. Glad you're
Likewise.
here. Does anybody else have issues that they're bringing us for the panel, as it were, to address? No? Okay. Well, we'll likely have some more folks. We had 13 people that RSVP'd. Only about half of those have shown up yet. We're only 5 minutes into the hour. So maybe we could start some introductions while people are gathering. Maybe wait a little longer before we start introductions because we want to make sure as many people are here for the intros. I encourage you to put your contact information in the chat. Make sure you do have the chat open so you can contribute and let other people know how they can get hold of you. If you're a developer or a WordPress authority, you might find somebody who needs your help and you guys can connect outside of the meeting, or we can even put you into a chat room if you need, or into a breakout room if you needed that. But for now, we're once again welcoming folks to our April meetup. Oh, there's Virginia. Thank you, Virginia. I'm hoping we try to have WordPress news at our meetings. Michael Noder, our WordPress news man, is uncertain if he's going to be able to make it tonight. He's got some personal complications going on with relatives showing up from out of town. Thank you, Alejandro. Alejandro's got his contact there in the chat, as does Virginia. Oh, Adobe instructor. Great. Yeah, and don't forget if you've got a YouTube channel or other links, you can put your LinkedIn. LinkedIn contact information is always good. YouTube channels. If you've got an Instagram that you're offering instructional content on, anything like that, that can all be part of it. Don't be shy. In other words, we're here to. It's mutual aid. We're here to help each other. Oh, Michael's coming back in. Are you opening up a second device, Michael?
Yeah, I'm opening up my computer instead of my cell phone
Gotcha, gotcha.
so I can
Yeah,
see
I've done
everything.
that in the
It'd be a
past.
lot larger. It'd be nice.
Yeah, sometimes the phone's got a better camera than the laptop, but the laptop's easier to type into. Or
Yeah, and if there's some information, turn that down.
make sure that you pick which one of these are going to use the microphone. Don't have both of your devices
No, that
unmuted.
makes yeah.
There we go. Or it sounds like we're in Monument Valley or something. All right, well, listen, we like to go around and introduce ourselves. So what I do is I look at your names as I see them on my computer here, and Zoom will order things in different and strange ways. But on my computer, I've got Lance as our first person. So when you give an intro, take a minute. Tell us who you are, where you're located, what it is you do, why you're here. If you have any comments for our group, um, I'll make note to everyone that we are always looking for presentations that'll be useful to the other members of the group here. So if you've recently uh, been part of a great presentation for a WordPress related product, um, or maybe something ancillary to WordPress, um, we do provide a little bit of a broader umbrella. So we do talk about small business issues because by and large, most WordPress developers are small businesses, and that can be a challenge in and of itself. So if you have anything like that that you've seen that you think would be of value to the other members of the group, by all means, tell me about it, and we'll see about reaching out and getting that to be brought to our group. So, with that, Lance, you want to tell us who you are, who, where, what, and all that good stuff?
Lance, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Connecticut, just outside of New Haven. I make websites for people. That's what I do for a living. I don't have any questions for tonight. I'm just sort of hanging out, and if I can help, I'll help, and if I can learn something, I'll learn something. That's me.
That sounds awesome. Great. Thanks. Good to have you here, sir. Virginia, how about yourself? Why don't you
My name's
unmute and
Virginia Rose.
introduce yourself?
I've been an Adobe instructor for over 20 years. I freelance for myself now, basically laying out books and tutoring in Adobe products. Um, I'm trying to supplement my income with uh, whatever program here talking about. WordPress. Sorry, I just got watered in my garden and I'm a little bedraggled. Um, to do WordPress. Now, I've done websites before there were any programs to do them. And so I understand the basics, but I just can't get going with WordPress. I just seem like I'm just hitting walls and can't even really begin a site.
Is there a particular issue or challenge that you're bringing to us tonight that we might be able to address as a group?
No, yeah, because it's different each time. So I start something and then I get so far and then I hit a wall. Um, I've got Elementor now, and I think I'm looking maybe for a really, really solid tutorial that would get me up and running.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we should be able to point you in a good direction.
Great, but understand HTML and CSS, and I belong to the uh, what's the name of the gal? The WordPress group, Facebook group. Sorry, like I said, I'm kind of bedraggled right now. Anyways, and I'm just having a real hard time getting answers and stuff and things that are clear. And
Okay. Well, there's a lot of good information out there. I'm sure we're going to be able to come up with some suggestions for you.
I'd really appreciate it.
You betcha. You betcha. Alejandro,
Hello there. Well, my name is Alejandro. I'm a WordPress developer. I've been doing websites for marketing agencies for, yeah, about 7 years so far. Um, I don't really have any questions. I'm most likely just want to hang out just like Lance and actually just want to be here to help.
cool. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. All right. Well, welcome. And how about you, Michael? Are you, you're muted, buddy.
Okay, maybe that helped. Can you
That
hear?
helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah. To get the little red line off the picture of the microphone. Yeah. So Michael Seawald, photographic artist and instructor, photo instructor, teacher, photo workshops, and painter too. I do both arts, have all my life. So I did my own website for, like I said, 20 years. I was telling you earlier, Edward, that I had a Front Page 98 was a great program. It made it really easy. What you see is what you get, and I've got like 300 pages now on my photographic website, even with my hobby bass fishing. So I get more people to visit my site because of bass fishing than do for the art, which is fine. I mean, once I get them to my site, that's cool. So but yeah, when they transferred over to this new HostGator company, they have a WordPress, and I've still been editing my own website for quite some time, but it's got to where now when I add a bunch of pictures on a page, all the pictures disappear after a few days. I don't know what's going on my WordPress on my website. I get in there and change some things and links, so I've got sub URLs, that I wanted to practice. I didn't want to lose my whole site. So I opened up these, I'm allowed to have sub, which are like it's seaworld.com/site / And so I'm making these separate little web pages, and then I put links to them. So that's how I'm creating it now. It's kind of a mishmash, but it's working, but I got a couple little problems, and that's DMARK thing I want to get so I can start. I've been sending emails out. I got 5,000 people on my mailing list, and I've been doing packets of like 100 people, and it takes like a day to send out an email because I never got around to paying for it. But now it's pretty much affordable, and it'd be cost effective to start sending out through like Constant Contact. And for 100 a month, I can mail out to 1,000 people. I only need to do one mailing or two a month. I'm not looking to do one every couple of days. So that's where I'm at. And I could probably use some help trying to get this DMARC thing so I can start sending out the emails. I have photo classes coming up, but the people aren't finding out about them. So yeah, and then I do a lot of trade out. I have the guy that did my initial website. I traded him a piece of art, for it. My art's not cheap, so I usually give him something way more than what the value is, because when I go to someone, I usually bless them with 2 or 3 times what they would charge and towards a piece of art. So some people are willing to do that. They have an extra hour or two a week. They could help me out. That's great.
Cool. Great. Good to have you part of the group tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad you got this group. I'm looking forward to learning about it, and who knows, down the line maybe start helping other people with their websites, and or building a website for them. I enjoy it. I'm an artist, so I enjoy creating.
Well, we have a lot of good WordPress minds here to draw on. That's one of the strengths of this group. So glad you're here, and I have no doubt that you're going to benefit and contribute to this group, because obviously photography is something that WordPress websites thrive or benefit from. I actually came to WordPress design from a photographic background, and so I'm drawn to making websites that pop, and it's hard to be more compelling than great photography. Whenever one of my clients has great photography, I'm thank God, no turd polishing, because most of the turd polishing that I usually have to do is to take a really bad, low quality photograph and make it, and you guys know, especially nowadays with high resolution, it's hard to take a low resolution image and make it look great. So this does bring it to me. Here, I'll put my contact information in the
You got someone new
chat.
signed in, Matt Clark.
What's that?
You having someone new here, Matt Clark, signed in?
Yes, that's right. You're right. Matt, can you hear me?
Says his microphone's off. There he goes.
Hey there. Yes, I can hear you guys.
Yeah. Are we going to see your face tonight, or are you going to be
Sure.
an
Yeah,
avatar?
absolutely. Hang on. I'm
We're doing introductions. We go around and we ask people to tell us who they are. Take a minute, who you are, where you are, what it is you do, why you're here, any ideas that you bring to us, any challenges that you're facing
okay,
that
great.
you
Can
would
you
like
can
to
you
put
see
out. I can see you.
Yep. Can you see? Okay. Um, Great to be here, guys. I've been actually trying to get on these meetings. Um, Good news is I'm a beginner WordPress developer. I just got hired by a startup to work on some features on their B2B site, and they're throwing a bunch of tasks at me that seem over my head. And I wanted to sort of kind of just collaborate with the group and see if anyone had any expertise in some of the particular challenges that I'm facing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got some
So
experience.
yeah,
We've definitely got
just on
some
a very
experienced
basic
people.
level, though. Unfortunately, I can't hang out late today, so I don't know if we're just kind of going back and forth. This is my first time actually participating in the group, so I'm not sure how this runs, but next time I can definitely stay for the whole thing. But I'm gonna have to cut out in about like maybe actually 9 minutes. So, but I wanted to kind of just introduce myself, and I'll certainly be back around. Can I ask you a question now, or are we not doing that? We're just doing intros.
If you have a question, we might be able to, if it's not too comprehensive, we can maybe push you up if
Okay.
everybody else is okay with answering your question per first, to deal with your time crunch. What is it that you wanted to ask us?
Okay, well, this is a super basic beginner question, but they have a main website domain, and the part that I'm working on is a subdomain, but it's connected to the main WordPress um, database and everything that they have. So I asked the lead tech if there's any content sharing between the two domains, because if I start making changes to the B site, I'm concerned it's going to affect the main site. And he said that the only thing that they share is just email. So if I'm my question is, if I'm messing around with, would you recommend trying to do this WordPress development on the B2B site in like a local environment on my computer, like copying their website and putting it on my computer? But then I'm concerned that might be a proprietary issue. Maybe they don't want me to do that. Um, and if I'm trying to mess with plugins and trying to mess with PHP and stuff and do some of the tasks that they want me to do, as long as I stay away from anything involving email, I shouldn't really interfere with the other main domain website. That's kind of my question. I'm sorry that's disjointed.
What's the purpose of the B site?
It's a business to business. I think uh, I'm not. He hasn't really filled me in on all the details, but basically they want me to create an order form that's a really seamless, just one-click operation, because they're having multiple steps happen with their order form, collecting email, this and that. And he wants it to be like Amazon, where you just kind of click and it saves your information and it's a one-stop shop. Um, that's essentially what he wants me to do. So if I were to find a plugin, I think I would just have to avoid anything that uses an email, because the email is the only content sharing between the main domain and the subdomain, and their site is live and they have a live business, so I don't want to mess up their business
Of course.
from their main webs. Yeah, so that's kind of my where I'm sort of at with it. um Anything I
Well,
should just not any. Yeah.
I was just going to say, in light of the fact that there's still information that you aren't privy to, and you've got 9 minutes on your hands, I don't know if we're going to be able to get too far into that.
Hmm.
Um, but I would suggest go ahead and put your contact information in the chat, um, and we can continue this conversation after. I just put my well, did I? No, I didn't. Um, Started to and then deleted it. I'll put my information in the chat if you wanted to set up a consult, take a little bit
Okay.
of time, free consult, and we can talk about it a little further because it sounds like it's a little bit more involved than we can deal with in 9 minutes. And we do have some other issues
Definitely.
like were mentioned. Yeah, yeah. But
I
at least,
appreciate that, Edward. Thank you.
yeah, no, no, no. We're about helping each other. And, I'll just tell you that everybody is on an arc of development as a developer, as a WordPress user. So years ago, somebody told me that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So don't feel bad that you're just getting started on this journey. It's a great product. You've got a lot of people in the development community. We've got some great groups that I was hoping Mike Noder, who runs a Woo is well, I would say arguably the most popular shopping cart plugin in the WordPress world, and he's usually a regular. He usually gives us some WordPress news. I might go over to his site and because I just watched his news presentation on Wednesday. There we go. But there's a lot of great resources in this world to help you along with your development as a WordPress user. There's also a
Awesome.
lot of
Thank you
great
very
resources.
much.
Are you aware of the Codex, first of all?
No.
If you go to wordpress.org, or correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, it might have changed, but it used to be Codex, speaking of subdomains, codex.wordpress.org is kind of the repository and Bible, as it were, for all things WordPress. There's some other pretty cool tutorial type of sites. Obviously, YouTube, but with YouTube, you have to make sure you vet in terms of how old WordPress has been around for a long time, so you don't want to be learning the wrong version of WordPress or what have you. When I first got into WordPress years ago, I used something called lynda.com, which no longer exists. Lynda.com, however, has been acquired by LinkedIn. They call it LinkedIn Learning, and they
Yes.
do have, it's a very robust repository for, well, stuff like what Virginia does, video tutorials for a number of different softwares and products and business practices and all kinds of things. I would certainly check there. They might have a free level that you might be able to benefit from. I found it was worth what I paid for the there was different levels. I don't know if LinkedIn Learning does it the same way, but you used to be able to either just pay for the information or they would have a level where you would get they had different levels. Some of them were available to like the community colleges. I took a community college class that included a LinkedIn or a lynda.com class that gave me just it was for not Photoshop, Illustrator. It was for Illustrator, so I got all the Illustrator instructional files. Plus, one of the cool things that they did is for every video they do, and a class will be a list of different videos. They will provide, if you have the right level class, the file at the point that video starts. So which is really cool, if you're just wanting to brush up on say your Bezier pen tool, you can just go there and just open up that particular video and also open up a file that so you can see exactly what they're working on and stuff. Um, who else? Anybody want to jump in and suggest any more tutorial sites that you guys like?
I was told that you can get LinkedIn Learning for free with a library subscription.
Some do, yeah, some do, absolutely. Unfortunately, San Diego public libraries aren't one of those currently. Currently, but yeah, you might want to
Yeah,
check
Edward,
where.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna say,
Mendel.
hey everybody, sorry I joined late. I was just gonna advocate for Do the Woo, and WordPress TV. Both of those updated, pretty regularly. One is a podcast form with multiple different streams of podcasts, by an industry veteran, and the other is, folks that are giving talks from around the world. And when I say around the world, I mean around the world.
Oh yeah.
Mostly in English, and they're really great too. So not specifically developer focused necessarily, but across the gamut of, uh, design, development, business, etc.
Yeah, believe me, Matt, there is a glut of free resources available to you, and if you're willing to spend a little bit, and you should be, um, and actually you should get your company to pay for it. There's a lot of great stuff for remarkably low price. So anyway, I don't want to ignore Gary, who is now here, and he's our next introduction. And we'll spend more time with you next time, Matt. Come with a little more time on your hands. And and I do have your contact information. We'll talk, okay?
Thanks, guys. Have a good day, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Cheers. Glad you were here. Hey Gary, how you doing?
Thank you.
Oh, finally got in. I was, I don't know where the heck I was, but I finally stumbled on a Zoom link, so I'm all good.
Well,
Yes,
we're doing introductions, so we're telling who we are, where we are, what it is we do, why we're here, any ideas that we're bringing to the group that we'd like the group to address, any presentations that you might suggest that we include. If you've seen a great presentation that would be of interest to a WordPress centric group, by all means, let me know and we'll reach out to that organization or that individual and try to bring it to this group. And of course, if you have a WordPress or small business challenge that you're dealing with right now, let us know what that is. So you want to do a minute intro?
sure. I'm Gary Elderson. I've worked in the IT field since 72. Uh, when the dinosaurs roamed. I'm Canadian. I live next to Winnipeg, which is central Canada. And I run a little small business consulting firm. I'm doing a lot of websites for customers, usually small to medium business. Um, I'm working on a new corporation with my son, and it's the first time I've used WooCommerce, and I'm pretty impressed. It looks good. Uh, Lots of little political things to jump over because when we incorporated, we have a total of 10 days to get everything up and running. So welcome to the group, or welcome group, and thanks for your patience while I got in.
Not at
Okay.
all. Not at all. Good to have you here, sir. Um, and is it Mendel or Mendel or how do you pronounce that?
Mendel, yeah, I'll come out
Mendel.
of the shadows here.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Cool, yeah. I moved to
Oh, and
Long Beach.
by the way, sorry for the interruption, but again, if you have contact information that you're willing to share with the rest of the group, um, And yeah, we're more than one of us are WordPress developers. My attitude towards this group is we're here we don't see each other as competitors. We look at each other as allies and potential partners. So feel free to put your contact information. If there is somebody who is a user who needs help, they will have more than one person to choose from, and it's all good. There's more than enough for everybody. So anyway, back to you,
Yeah,
Mandel.
cool. Yeah, thanks. I moved to Long Beach, California, a few years ago with my family, and prior to that, I was working out of Austin, working at GoDaddy, and working on their WordPress developer advocacy program. Edward, you and I never bumped into each other, but or maybe we did. I don't know. But I used to come to California a bit and also travel around the world, one man show, giving talks and things like that about WordPress. So I've spent I don't know 10, 15 years in the space and love the community aspect of it, and love the opportunity to give back. It's probably one of the only industries where you see people that make money, with a particular product and yet still, like Edward does, goes to give free advice to people, which is awesome. So I'm here mostly as a resource and an expert. Happy to give free advice. I also run an agency called My Web Medic out of Long Beach, and so that's kind of what I'm up to. So yeah, I think that's all about me. Anyway, I'm
Cool.
happy to be here because I
I'm
haven't been to a meetup in like a million years. So
well, I'm glad we're helping you ease back into it. I'm curious about you said you were working doing WordPress developer advocacy.
yeah, um,
What was that
yeah.
like? What
So
was that about?
so it was during the time when GoDaddy really didn't have a great reputation in the developer world, or just in the technical world overall, and so I'd done a bunch of programs. I worked there for 10 years. I'd built a bunch of different programs, training and a training program for them for technical users, WordPress and website development, and then I was tapped for a few years to build the developer advocacy program, and basically what it entailed was spending GoDaddy's money to get out there and support other uh, members of the community, and to kind of give before getting. And so it was a big part of my life, and giving lots of talks and you know giving pizza to meetups and beer to meetups, and then also kind of contributing content and things like that, and having folks from the community contribute content back to GoDaddy. But I moved on from that. I was at Amazon as a product manager and some other places, DigitalOcean and some other places. So anyway,
Gosh, nobody
um,
ever gave us pizza.
I wish I would have known when I had the funds.
Yeah, how do we get our pizza?
I know.
Yeah.
Is there retroactive pizza
You know
waiting
what?
for us somewhere?
I know some people. I could tell them that we really want pizza, and maybe they'd be willing. I know the head of developer advocacy
That
over there
might that
now.
might be that
So
might be complicated. Um,
yeah, send a slice to each person. I don't know.
so
We have to drive up to Long Beach.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where the best pizza is, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think San Diego probably has better.
Oh, we got good pizza.
uh, well, cool.
Pizza
Sounds like
port,
you're going to
pizza
be
port. Beer
sounds
and
like
beer.
you're going to be a good addition to our crew.
Yeah,
So
just happy
thanks
to
for
help.
being here. Right on, right on. Who haven't I gotten to? Has everyone? I think everybody but myself. So just really quick, I'm Edward Sanchez with Brass Ring Web Design. I've been doing this a long time, helping businesses create websites that aren't just nice to look at, but actually move the needle. I specialize in WordPress, of course, but I look at the whole picture. The website is the hub and spokes like SEO, email, social, paid traffic. These are all part of the digital marketing picture. Fundamentally, I'm a WordPress website developer, but over the years, and I've been doing it now for more than a quarter of a century, geez Louise, um, there's a lot more that goes into the success of a website nowadays, like those various spokes to make sure that you're not only having a great website, but it's getting traffic, and we're showing people what they need, and they're putting money in your pocket to make the site effective. So if you know someone who's ready to take their online presence more seriously, or even just wondering where to start, I'm always happy to have a conversation. And I'm thrilled to have you guys all here. Um, I was hoping we might have Mike Noter here by now, but why don't we? I'm going to start in order of the issues that were brought forward. Um, Michael Seawald, you want to tell us a little bit more about the DMARK issues you were facing?
Yeah, you guys probably already know about it. I never heard of it before, but maybe I've been sending out a lot of emails that haven't been arriving to the people. And I know some people respond. I get there for photo classes. I also have a regular list of people just interested in my photography, which I got like say 5,000 people, probably 2,000 people interested in my photo classes over the years. Um, so I don't know how many. I know some people respond. You know, they sign up for my classes, but I just tried to send my own self on one of my emails to Yahoo. I did not get the email from this new Constant Contact when I sent a test. I just signed up for it a couple of days ago, and it says after you build a little email, it says you can test it. So I sent it out. I sent it to where it was coming from. I got it. It looked great. You know, it's kind of neat with all the little that you just drag in and photos you can add. It made a really nice email. Whereas to build my own from scratch on Photoshop work. So I was excited about Constant Contact and the tools they offer. But then when I went to myself, and then I did some research, and it came up with this DMARC thing that if you don't have it put into your DNS, your information of who you are, then maybe that people consider you spam. That's as far as I've got. And I thought, then I saw this WordPress come up, and I'm learning it. But I also paid last month a lot of money. I think it was $160 to work with WordPress, and you get 20 minutes with someone, and they kind of help you. So I'm trying to solve a couple of problems, but I was having a hard time getting online. But long story short, I kind of wasted a whole month there, and I don't really have that. I'm an artist with a lot of art, no money, so that's why I'm always looking to do trade outs. I traded out my boats trade out, my cars trade out, my diamond rings for my wedding, everything but the cake. Trade, haircuts, dermatology. So you know, my art's really good. You know, I've had museum shows in China. I've done 70 trips around the world. I've a lot of years on the road making art. My students win best in the world in competitions. I've won best in the world because I had a master that taught me in college. Out of all my instructors, one knew what he was talking about, and I've taken that and run with it. So you guys are welcome to visit my site, and you spend hours on it. Like I say, it's intense because I made it in front page 98 when it was really easy. Yeah, seawall.com.
That takes me back.
Front page, yeah.
Front page?
Oh,
man.
I miss
front page 98. I mean, it says it all.
Yeah, it worked great until just fairly recently. And I can go in and edit a lot of the pages still, but I haven't even downloaded. I don't think I've downloaded WordPress for that particular, my main site. I've got these sub-sites that someone was mentioning, what do you call them? Sub-sites, subdomains.
Subdomains.
Yeah. So It's a lot of work, and I watched a couple of videos. You know, you're 40 minutes, so they can lose you. You get a little stuck in the weeds, but I guess if you keep looking long enough. But I'd really like to hire someone and trade, like I say, like give them, $1,000 an hour and trade towards one of my big $5,000 photos or something. So in 5 hours I probably could figure out, get everything tuned up. I don't know. So when I saw this, I've gone to a couple meetups where there's WordPress people, and no WordPress people were there. It was just people trying to build their own business, and it wasn't WordPress people. So I was kind of bummed about that. But here's word you guys are all WordPress people. I like that.
Mhm.
That's our main point in contact, in common rather. Um, Now, I should mention that, and I am a Constant Contact partner. And one of the great things about Constant Contact is have you taken advantage of their support? Have you had a
No,
conversations with them?
no, no, sir. No, someone just emailed me from them.
Yeah,
Today
take
asked,
advantage of their support team. You're paying for it. If you have a
yeah.
Constant Contact account, you're paying for that support, and that means
I
that you
don't
can
I
pick
don't
up the
see me having
phone.
a problem with like designing. That's all fine. It's this DMARC thing that I'm nervous about. I was gonna try to send out, my first email to all these people, and then I realized I might screw up if I send it out without taking care of that problem.
Well, you
Does it?
shouldn't want, I mean, Constant Contact takes care of their own DMARC. I mean, if
Okay.
it come, if they'll, if you get it to the point where you're sending emails, you're set up and that aspect of things when you're sending through them. Now, it's a different story if you have, like, for instance, contact forms on your website. Um,
Well, Edward, wouldn't it also be if he's using a custom domain, um, sending from Constant Contact, and it's sending on his behalf, then the DMARC would probably need to be in place if it's sending on his behalf, wouldn't it? To
well,
to to validate.
they
Yeah.
usually create when the actual email comes from a Constant Contact approved, they make sure that it's a working
Hmm.
from address, in other words. Which is why, one of the things that I tell my clients all the time is take advantage, pick your, when and this goes for anything, pick your products well. I like to make sure that part of my criterion for vetting products is that they have solid support. Um, and
Yeah,
take
I do
advantage
too.
of it.
Yeah.
And the thing about I know as a Constant Contact partner, I have access to not only the partner team, which supports partners in partner type issues, but they also have the product team, which supports the Constant Contact product. And the very minimum level of support would be to make sure that your account is set up correctly
Yeah,
and
so like
included.
I say, I sent a test email only to two addresses to the one it's from is like Michael, my regular one, Michael@seawall.com. And the other one was my AT&T, Michael at such and such AT&T.com. But I didn't get the AT&T.com in the mail. I didn't get the mail. So that's what made me nervous. And that's when I started doing research and finding out something about the DMARC. That
Yeah,
so I guess like I say, I'll call Constant Contact and HostGator both and see if they can put me on the right track. And then
yeah.
if
When
not,
I first when I first started doing WordPress and consulting and what have you, I was trying to answer every question for every single thing. But I realized that most good coaches, they point you towards great resources first.
right,
If
right.
if the resource fails, then let's see. But you know, just that paradigm on how you fix your issues, usually if you've chosen well, like if you've gotten MailChimp, for instance, MailChimp doesn't have nearly as good support as Constant Contact does. But since you do have Constant Contact, my recommendation would be go ahead and contact them. See if
Okay.
they can't answer your concerns, because they're not just questions. It's really more concerns. I mean, you may not have a concern at all. You may
Right.
just misunderstand something that you need to understand. Um, Now, when it comes to your DMARC for your website, to make sure that your contact forms are arriving and that your contact forms are configured correctly and that sort of thing, then that's the conversation you have with HostGator,
Oh, my
to make
contact
sure.
form worked. That's my contact form worked.
Yeah, so likely your DNS is
Oh,
set up
it was
okay.
in my WordPress. They helped me set that up, and so they helped me set up the form, showed me how to do it. So and I did it. I love being able to work with people. You know, 'cause they could see my screen and then tell me how to do it. I did it. That way, I'm learning, not just having somebody do it for me.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so check that out.
Okay,
Um, if you're not able to get satisfaction, come back at our next meeting, or you
okay,
can reach out to me or anybody else who put their
okay.
contact information in the chat. Make sure, by the way, I encourage all of you to save the chat. And if you don't know how to save the chat, it's a pretty simple matter. You just click on the little three dots in the chat window. One of the options is save chat. That's always a good idea, so you'll see everything that
Oh, that's
people put
cool.
in there. Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, nice. I saw it. It came up right away. Okay.
All right. So Virginia was talking about some WordPress bottlenecks and looking for an Elementor tutorial. Um, did I get that right?
Yeah, like I said, I keep trying things and I'm just running into a different wall each time. And
Hmm.
so it's like I solve one problem and then I make it a few more steps further. And I haven't touched it in a while. I went back to it the other day and I can't open either site that I made. Um, what's the error I get is I'm launching it, sorry. All right. So I click it. It says this site can't be reached. It, uh, it it's on local. That's the problem, isn't it?
You're running a server on your computer.
Yeah, using local.
Okay.
And it said this site can't be reached. The name of the site refused to connect.
Well, of course, when you run a server on your own computer, you are the server administrator.
Right.
Um, so the question is, maybe that's not the best way to do it.
Well,
Because in the practical sense, like I was saying before, one of the great thing about picking good products with good teams that offer good support is that if you run across issues that you're not able to, you can reach out to the support team. If you're running a server on your own computer, um, Mendel, what would you agree with that?
Yeah, I I tend to like the staging live paradigm with both sites on the same host or subdomain stage.
It also makes
That
it easier when it's time to have the site go live. It's
Yeah,
usually
so Virginia,
the transfer.
are you on WP Engine? Are you using WP Engine?
okay. I'll start by saying I'm completely ignorant. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I
Okay.
don't know. I
Good
got
Because
point.
running a server on your own system, that's kind of an advanced step.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah, I
something
agree.
yeah.
the average newbie. Now, mind you, there was a time when WordPress was much less sophisticated and hosting was less so. There were no staging sites offered. Nowadays, staging capability is something that hosting companies offer pretty routinely, and
Okay. So
it's their servers. Go ahead.
I started with WP Rockstar. That's how I got this set up. And it just, using WordPress directly just seems so hard. And my friends say, oh, you need Elementor. So I got Elementor. And that just gave me a whole different set of problems.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to learn how to do this. And so I don't have a host, I don't have anything. I just want to poke at it until I can make something happen.
Yeah,
Right.
Edward, I agree with you. It seems like Virginia getting a cheap host. Normally, I don't say get a cheap host, but if you're just playing around and poking around, I'd I'd say get a cheap host and poke around there because they'll set up all of that for you, and then all you have to do is worry about
But
one
not so,
thing instead of 10
not
things.
so cheap that they don't have support.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
the worst thing is to have to then create, you run across a situation that you can't get yourself out of, and you have to create a job ticket and wait for somebody in New Delhi or the Ukraine or, wherever the heck they are located, which of course is on another part of the globe. So there's a time differential. So they're asleep while you're having your problem. Um, so it
What's
can be. Go ahead.
So
Oh, I was
my
just gonna ask what's everybody's favorite? Maybe they can throw it in the chat, their favorite host.
I just got SiteGround, which
I hear a lot of good things about SiteGround.
in the plan where I can have a bunch of different websites. So
Mm.
you're saying skip local and build it there.
Well, like I say, with local, you're the host. You are the hosting company. And if you don't know what you're doing, and it's okay. I think the smartest people are the ones that are most willing to say, I don't know, you know.
Try
But then they have skills to find people who do know,
Yes.
There's
Yes.
if
nothing
you have
shameful about. Go
sorry
ahead.
to interrupt, but I just wanted
No,
to
no,
mention
no.
that if you have a SiteGround, have you tried creating a temporary domain? They offer that. But basically, they set up a temporary domain. You don't have to deal with anything DNS related. Like it would just create a subdomain. Like they're gonna let you have it, and they're also gonna install WordPress on it too.
Yeah.
And that's when you install Elementor. So you may want to go check on temporary domain. Like try to click a place where it says new website, and when it lets you choose which one you want, go for the temporary one.
Okay.
Well, I don't know that. Were you having DNS issues? I think it was more Michael that was having DNS
Did not
issues.
was I
You're
having
having you're
DNS
having
issues?
ser
No, 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 no.
you're
Yes.
having server connection issues.
Yes, but you
Yeah.
won't have to deal with anything DNS related to set up a subdomain.
Right.
Like SiteGround can hold all of that power for you very
Yeah.
easily, very,
Yeah,
very easily.
and I'll make because I tend to think more of a more like a marketer than, than a server technician. But one of the things that gets most overlooked, and I think it takes more thinking, and this is where it's great to have a company that's willing to give you a temporary domain, is that domains can have implications on your SEO, on your business success, I mean, because these are things that end up on your business cards, they end up on your website, they end up if you're doing cards. I mean, to me, print hasn't died yet. Um, this is the spokes that I talk about. The most important job is make sure that the website is strong, it works properly, it has intuitive navigation, it has strong calls to action, and it really does a great job of telling the world what makes you and your business special and unique and convinces the visitor to either buy from you now or whenever they're ready to, and it gives you the opportunity to market to them. You can harvest their email if you have lead magnets, things like that. But the domain can be an important part of that. And sometimes people will go ahead and get a domain and start doing all the development, and the domain sucks, and they could have done better if they had maybe taken some time. And with something like Alejandro suggesting, that gives somebody the extra time to pick a good domain and go through the marketing
Yeah.
analysis at part of the domain. Because I mean, picking a domain is easy. You go to GoDaddy or whoever it is, and you type it in. It's either available or it isn't. You pay the money, and you're on your way. But it may not be from a marketing standpoint and from a perpetuity standpoint the best choice for your business and for what you're trying to do. But yeah, I think it seems like we agree that running your own server seems to be adding a level of complexity that you really don't need.
Well, I
Um,
have this site
And
where
these hosting sites aren't that expensive either, right?
no, it's not. It's like unlimited, and it wasn't much more than what I'm paying for my own site through Wix,
and
which
also understand, and I suggest this to anyone, every web host, typically the person you're speaking to, if you're speaking to somebody on the phone, they're a salesperson first.
yeah.
So they're going to try to offer you fries with everything, and you're going to end up with products that you really don't need. So I suggest this is one of the things that I do for my client is help them vet their products. I tell people that one of my important jobs is to save them money, and that includes my charges for them.
Yeah.
But you can always, say no to that, do you want fries question, and then bring it back here and say, hey, what do you guys think? So and so is trying to sell me this particular security product, and they want to sign me up for 5 years, and that those are the sort of questions that we can bat around as well. So
Hey, Edward, you said something about a lead magnet. What's that?
a lead
Lead magnet.
magnet is something that okay, so when you go on a website, there should be multiple goals for the website. There should be goals for each visit. For me, I look at the type of audience that most websites, if we put it at the most basic level, most websites have two types of visitors. There are visitors, let's say, a commercial website. I mean, if you have something that's just purely informational, or something like Michael. Well, Michael, you're looking to sell your art, so it is commercial in nature. But you're not just putting up a website so people just enjoy it. They can enjoy it and
Right,
buy your stuff. So
right.
most of
Both.
these sites are commercial. So from a commercial website, you've got two types of visitors. There's people who are ready, who need somebody now. They have money in their pocket, they have a need, or they need a service, they need a product, they need it now. There's also those people who are not ready to buy right now, who might be ready to buy later on. The thing is, you don't want to lose those people once they leave your website. So if we can give them a reason to sign up, and believe me, just saying sign up for our newsletter isn't enough. So this is where
Right.
lead magnets come in.
You
And
offer
if you go,
something.
yeah, if you go to
You're offering.
Brass Ring Web Design, the latest one that I put up is I've got in my resources section there, you can download a list of up to 100 lead magnet ideas, and they run you know, printed matter that, PDF books that you can download to all kinds of things. People do sweepstakes. Well, like I say, on my list, and my list is not, at some point in time, I'll add 25 more and make it a list of 125. But you can, if there's something you can offer that has value.
I used to
uh,
offer free art cards. Man, I had millions of people signing up. Little
yeah,
$5
and I
art.
mean,
I mailed them a card, and I got so many people. And if they sent someone and then I drew their name, they was not a photo. They would
you could
whoever
do
they
a
refer. Yeah,
sweepstakes where
yeah,
we do an art card because it's kind of inexpensive, but the average person's not going to put up an art card on their wall or something like that. But maybe every 100 emails that you harvest, you could sell a print, a mounted print. Doesn't have to necessarily have a frame, but it's whatever it costs to take one of your prints and have it carded, and then the mailing, so that can be a lead magnet. There's all kinds of ways that we can
Okay, I
do
got it.
something, or there might be something that you've written or produced in the past.
So so it's an offer of some sort to get them to sign up so that they would. You got their email,
Yeah, because let's face it, everybody is constantly being hammered for their email address, and we
right?
all get too much spam. Um, but if you come up with a
And that's
really
one thing I make sure I tell them. I'll never give away their name and number. I make that really big when I do put it up there because they don't want to. All these people say. I say, hey, I hate spam more than you. That's what I tell
well, it's a
them.
good it's a good idea to have a privacy policy on your website. This is,
Okay.
and there's it's like if you go to like privacypolicy.com, I think it is, you can create a privacy policy and things like that, which will assure people that they're not dealing with a spammer,
Right.
by giving you this is all about building trust, because that's what sales online is about.
Yeah.
People always have, I don't care how fringe a product you have, I promise you, there's somebody else on the planet who's offering it, and you want to give them a reason to choose you. And that includes everything from your website and how professional and easy it is to interact with, and all the efforts that you take there to prove your credibility. Case studies are great ways of proving credibility. There's all kinds of ways. This is why in a land of, and Alejandro and Mendel will tell you, we live in a world where there's a lot of DIY tools. Hell, I mean, WordPress is probably the top DIY website builder on the planet. But just having WordPress doesn't mean you can build a website worth a damn. You can, believe me, you can build a really horrible website with WordPress, and and many people have. Anyway, um, Alejandro, what are your thoughts on all the stuff we're talking about?
Well, so far, it's so good it's great to see the introductions of all of you. It seems like there's potential to contribute from my part as well. It can be fun to get to see some issues here and there and find ways to fix them. And I don't know if there's any opportunities to contribute, then also let me know.
Yeah, did you introduce yourself?
I did.
You did. Okay. I'm trying to remember where you're at.
No, no, I did. I think I was the
No,
third one to introduce myself.
where are you located?
In San Diego.
Oh, you're here. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Cool. We are actually technically a San Diego-based WordPress group, but
Yes.
a lot of times we don't have San Diegans. We'll have like all Canadians tonight, that sort of thing.
From Long Island. Yeah.
What part of town you in?
Well, I'm close to Otay. It's called Chula Vista.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm up in. I just moved from La Jolla to La Mesa over the
All
last
right.
couple of years. So, well, cool.
Nice.
Um, any other challenges? I hope we gave you some ideas to try out, Virginia. Um, I think there's some things you could do to simplify your life, and like everybody else, you could probably do a better job of taking advantage of the technical support available to you already.
I do have a question, if I may.
Sure.
I did get on the SiteGround. I did add a new temporary site, and
Yes.
it's asking me set up login,
Yes.
email address. Do I just use my
You're
email address and migrate it later and add all that
no,
stuff?
no, no, no. Yeah, use your email address and put a login that you're going to be able to remember because that's the login you're going to use to build this site. So That's how you're gonna go to the back end. So WordPress has two places, like it has the front end, which is what users see, and then the back end, which is where the admin is going to be. That's gonna be you. And yeah, you want to have those logins. You want to
Yeah, the
remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
yeah,
just for,
always make a note. And there's some great tools to keep track of passwords and
oh,
logins.
I have the safe and all that stuff. That, but this is just for me. And when, if I can get them access to it so they can see it if, to approve and make edits and stuff like that. And then when I migrate it, then that's when I'll get the real, domain name and all that kind of stuff. I can add that after the fact, right?
Are you familiar with user roles?
No. Oh, yes. Admin. Yeah.
Right. So the way I do it, and I always make it so my clients can see. I try to develop it on their own hosting. It makes transferring the site later on easier, and it gives them a degree of peace of mind and security that I'm not going to steal their website, if I'm building it on my own server or anything like that. But yeah, you just don't want to use the default of admin, and you want to give them. And this goes for user roles in general, especially if you have multiple users on a site. I always ask, why am I giving this person access, and what is the maximum amount of access they need? The last thing you want to do is have one of those websites where everybody's an admin. Because that takes us back to the days where there was one login for the website, and whether you gave it to a 5-day employee or a 20-year veteran of your company, it's the same access, and user roles should be earned. I mean, that's one of the ways that WordPress protects you. So, you can always make them a subscriber. They don't have to be in, because remember, an editor can change their content and other people's content without access to the back end. An admin has the power of God, which means they can screw up things as you're
Yeah.
developing. You definitely don't want more than one developer
I would never
having.
let anybody edit an original InDesign
Yeah,
document.
I,
Original
fi- I
means
figured you wouldn't.
document, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so this first site, I kind of would like to lean towards the potential client that I have. Mostly because thinking about the UX and all that kind of stuff, and leaning it towards what they want, so on and so forth. But he has no domain name. He has nothing at this point, and so um,
Are you ready to have that conversation with them?
no, he is not ready. I think I can do it, but he doesn't understand any of this, and so trying to make a logo for him, that was a trip. But I got the logo done and got the name of the company done. And so now I would like to
Well,
build
usually if
something
you're
for
at the,
him.
if you're at the point where the branding is ready for logo design, you've answered questions about the company's identity.
Yes,
We know the
yes,
name of the company and
yes.
what have you. So, I mean, if that's in place, chances are, yes, if you are, the client should be ready to answer that question. It's just a matter of, I mean,
No,
it's a dumb
it's
one.
like pulling teeth, and it's like, okay, if I can show him something, then he can say, oh, yeah, and we can have a conversation. But he can't imagine it. And so in learning how to do all this, I thought, well, maybe I'll practice on his site because I've got an idea of what I want to do, kind of an idea what he might want, and maybe end up with something I can use in the
Well,
end.
I'm trying to understand. I mean, the URL should have very little to do, unless you're doing, divorcesareus.com or something like that, where the URL is hugely part of the business
Now,
identity.
I've already researched what the URL could be, but I'm not going to buy the domain name. I'm just trying to build a site that has no connection with the real world that I can practice on, show him eventually. And so it's like, can I do this on SiteGround without any of that information, without a domain name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you
And
can.
all right.
Yeah, that's what was that temporary domain that Alejandro
Yes.
was talking
Yes.
about. You can actually have the site up and running on, it'll just be a cryptic
Yeah.
IP. Basically, it's like an IP address, sort of.
I think it just spooked me because the example for the email is john.smith@domain.com. And it's like, well, I don't have that. So I can just put anything I want in there.
Well,
Yes.
it'll probably choose one for you when you're, like on GoDaddy, they use something called Installatron,
Oh,
and it'll, if
okay.
you don't, I mean, if you don't have a domain that it can draw from in the list of domains that are registered, because usually most web hosts registering a domain to the hosting account is part of the deal and how you make domains available
Yes.
for your
And that's
projects.
one reason why I'm on SiteGround, because I got all snaggled up with trying to have multiple domain names and email addresses and all that kind of stuff. And having multiple sites on SiteGround sorted all that out.
So
So
what's the client's resistance to the domain,
uh,
to picking a
his
domain name?
resistance is having a useful conversation about any of this. Um, um, so I can't say, well, this is kind of what I'm thinking and blah, blah, blah. And he can't do it. And so I'm thinking I'll build something for him to see. And then, because people, clients always know what they don't want, they're until they see it, so you've got to show them and then they, oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. But you can't elicit that stuff out of them ahead of time so often.
Have you been paid for anything?
No. Well,
Okay, so
I mean,
you're doing this purely on spec?
no, uh, as soon
In
as I
other
can
words,
get,
you do a lot of work and he
yeah,
says, "Nah."
well, but the benefit of that is something to practice on, something to learn how to do WordPress on.
Okay.
So that's
No, I mean, fair
half of
enough.
my
I mean,
work.
when I did my first few WordPress websites for free for myself on WordPress.com, and I actually kind of accidentally did my first commercial site
Oh,
because I was simply shopping. I was
yeah,
shopping and I came across, this is like 2009. I came across a website that was so horrific that I knew, and mind you, I'd been building HTML sites for like, that was
yes.
2009, so like, 11 years, let's say. And but I contacted this guy who had this business. I won't say what it was, but I said, listen, you need to be in a content management system. He had a lot of products and stuff, and it was just almost laughable. But and it was accidental. I just said, you know what? And I was pretty open with him. I'm only getting into this WordPress CMS, but it's really amazing. I gave him some resources to look at, and then the WordPress.org always has great resources selling the case for WordPress. But yeah, next thing I know, I said, and I forget what I charged him. I charged him like nothing, but I did charge him, and that was my first commercial site. And I had been doing websites enough to know that you have to have paper.
Mhm.
You have to have, and I've been a salesperson for a long time, so I never call them contracts. I always call them agreements or yeah, it's usually the agreement.
Yeah, I've
Um,
got that
but I,
book halfway developed, mostly developed. But no, that's exactly my situation is I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to build this thing. And by the time I get the end of it, I'll sell it to him.
So will she be able to just have him like go online this, or does she have to show up with her computer and show him?
No, I mean, once it's up, you just give the URL, and anybody at an internet station anywhere on the globe can see it, if you've made it, public. But yeah, I can see why you would do it that way now.
Yeah.
Myself, when I did my first commercial site, I didn't charge a lot,
No, I'm
but
paying.
see, they're hiring you to design it.
Yes.
You don't design it and then they approve it. They're hiring you to be their designer, and that's when the actual agreement aspect of this business is important because there's a lot of people that end up doing a lot of work and never get paid for it,
Right.
um, or the
I've done for
customer
myself
tell.
for many, many years, and I've laid out. I've done commercial graphic arts. So if I was laying out a book, this would be a completely different story. But I,
And
like I
the
said,
Graphic Artists Guild has got some great contractual um, material. Different
resources.
contracts, different.
Who does?
Okay, so my first project that I ever did, I got my multimedia certificate back in the late '90s, and a friend of mine, and part of that was I did a final project, and it was in something called Macromedia Director,
Oh
which
yeah,
was an interactive,
yeah.
like for building kiosks and stuff. But anyway, it was really cool. It was kind of desert, had great music and stuff like that.
Yep.
And my friend was a national manager for Hewlett Packard, and he came to me and he asked me if I would help him put together. He just wanted me to do some graphic design, but I didn't know how much to charge. So I did some basic Google searching. Well, we didn't even have Google back then. It would have been AOL or whatever the hell we were using. But I found the Graphics Artists Guild has got a book called
Oh, Gil,
The
gotcha.
Graphic Artists Guild. They have a book that's called their Practices and Pricing, something like that. And included in it was, contracts, and it had a lot of information on usage rights, things like that, because anyway, long story short, I ended up charging him more than I probably would have done it for like 200-300 bucks.
Yeah.
It was I didn't even do it in Illustrator. I did it in Photoshop, and I was playing around with some 3D tools of the day, and I made this weird spacey. He wanted basically a hand turning on a faucet that was spewing cash. Now, since then, we've seen that design. You can go to any stock photo and just buy it, but it didn't exist back then, so I had to make it. And
I drew
but
one in
that
Illustrator once.
graphic artist uh, manual of, I think it's like
Handbook,
pricing and practices,
handbook pricing and
was
ethical guidelines.
that's it. That's the one. Yeah, get yourself if you can get the latest version of that, you will not regret it. And as a result, I ended up charging like closer to like 2,000 bucks, and
Mhm.
he ended up taking it to a national symposium, like where a bunch of Hewlett Packard managers were getting together in Chicago or something like that, and they threw it up on a big screen. And this is like a '90s big screen, and everybody went ooh.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's coming back to me. Yeah, we want to use it on the company intranet. They wanted to use it in ads and all this sort of stuff. So I got to add on a couple $1,000s extra on
Yep.
top of that. So it was a great, it was all about usage rights and just knowing how to get properly. I mean, we all remember Nike. The guy who designed the Nike swoosh didn't make shit for it, you know. And if you work If you do good work, I mean, you've been doing what you do. You may not be an expert in WordPress, but you bring a lot of expertise to
I
the
do.
table.
I
You
do.
do. Just make sure you're getting paid for it. Never
Well,
forget.
and contracts haven't been a big part of what I've done up to this point, because I've mostly have been teaching. And
Mhm.
so I'm very, very interested in the contract part of it, and
Yeah,
you saw that WP Rockstar is where I've been taking lessons.
good.
Have you heard of them?
It rings a bell.
Yeah,
I haven't used it myself.
yeah.
Is that
Um,
something you recommend?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a great group. But as a teacher, the videos are a little bit not useful. And
Okay, that's
yeah,
one
because
way to state
it's
it.
like they say a bunch of stuff, and it's like, well, why am I doing this? What is this about? So I don't feel like we get a lot of the background information. So I kind of stalled out on that.
Check out LinkedIn Learning, especially
Yes,
since
it's
LinkedIn Learning has those files. You can jump
have
in
right here, and
because they have
yeah,
so
I'm a
many different
premium.
courses, and you may not want to start and do the courses completely in sequence, starting with one and going through 28. You might
Yeah,
feel like maybe you can jump in 14, but at
yeah,
least when you have the files, you will have literally on your computer open in the software that you're using, you will have that file at the point that they're at. So
yes.
you're not, you're
I'm a
not.
premium member. I got it queued up. It's on my list this week to start doing that.
Yeah, you should. That's a great resource that you already have. That's one of the things I'm always telling my clients. Just do a better job of you're paying for stuff. You have stuff. There's things that you don't even know that you're paying for that are
Yes,
part of your hosting. They're part of your sometimes even your internet service that you're paying for at home probably has values that you don't even know about. So especially since, I mean, anybody in here independently wealthy? Raise your hand if you are. No? No billionaires today? We don't have any billionaires? Well, god dang it. Why is my hand up? Oh
we
god,
went like this
does
probably.
is Zoom now doing that? Oh geez. If you let
That's
me
not
see
new.
if I do it
They've been
again.
doing that for like a couple months now, at least.
Have they been doing that? Screw them. I hate that. I
I,
really hate that one where they take your hand down if you unmute briefly.
yeah,
But
I think you can set that in your preferences.
yeah, I'm definitely going to have to revisit my preferences.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we're getting towards the end of the meeting. I wanted to make sure that that any questions that people had got answered. Any other concerns? Let me see. We got one new message in the chat. Oh, Alejandro had to pop out. Sorry. Um, I'll again remind everybody to save the chat. You click on the three dots in the chat area, and the first option is to save the chat. Do we have any last minute questions, comments,
Yeah, where does
criticisms?
where
Go
does
ahead.
it save the chat to? Where is it on my
It
laptop for you?
yeah, Zoom creates a directory on your computer, and there is a directory in there where it saves meetings. If you're well, it won't save any. It'll create a directory if you're recording or if you save the chat. It'll create a directory. Like when I close this meeting out, there will be a recording in there, an MP4 of this meeting. There will also be an audio recording of this meeting. There will also be a chat text file of this meeting. Now, if you don't save the chat, if you don't record anything, and you guys, you guys aren't allowed to record this, there is a recording available. And 99% of the time I put the replay up. So it's going to be available if you needed to double check anything. Now, mind you, the replay does not include the chat. Zoom does not do that. But anyway, you just look in your Zoom directory, and it should, and I use that word very cautiously, but it ought to pop up a folder when this meeting is over, and you'll see the chat in there. Okay.
Okay.
It ought to. If it doesn't, sorry for lying to you, but that has to do with the settings of your computer and your Zoom settings, So
It's not a lie if you didn't plan it. It's not a lie. That's okay.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
When I
Thanks for your
clicked it,
help.
I got a
I'm an
message.
accidental liar.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
When I clicked it at the bottom of the chat, I got a little box that said find in Finder or browser or whatever, and it showed me.
Good. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, guys?
Thank
Nice
you so
meeting.
much, Edwin.
My pleasure. It was really cool having you guys here. Mendel, I'm looking forward to having you part of this thing. Always looking for good people with good information and the willingness to share it. So thanks for
Nice
being.
heart. Yeah. Good heart, Mendel. Appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all.
All right,
Nice to see
everybody.
y'all.
Y'all take care.
Have a good night.
Ciao.